Welcome back to the Stephan Show. My name is Graham, and welcome to my show. And today we're going to be speaking with Kevin, who lost $1.5 million owning Tesla stock. He did a bit of a crazy Wall Street bets-esque investment. And in the last week, it went down a very decent amount. So we're going to be bringing him on and seeing exactly what happened and also what his wife thinks about this. So with that said, make sure to smash the like button. And here's Kevin. So Kevin, welcome to the Stephan Show. What's going on?
Yeah, hey there, Graham. Hey, so I got a big problem, man. It's just been eating away at me. It's just devastating me. And I almost feel like I haven't been myself lately. You know, I've got about 6.2 million, and I went on just this one stock with 6.2 million. It's not my whole portfolio, but it's like most of it. It's like 65% of it. And it was so stupid. I put it all onto one stock because I just believed everything I heard about this stock. And last week, it just started going ugly. It's devastating to do the math, but that's a loss of $1.5 million. And my wife is just like, dude, how could you go so heavy on Tesla?
Robinhood just makes it so easy, man, to turn on margin and just keep buying, man.
So many questions. One, I want to know, how much do you have in stocks right now?
Yeah, it's about 9.2, something like that.
So yeah, so 65% is in Tesla. What do you do to be able to buy that much money worth of stocks? I'm just curious.
I tell people to smash the like button.
Wait, is this Meet Kevin?
Yeah. Is this the Stephan?
Hey, really? Is this Kevin?
Oh, no way.
Really? That's a small
up, man?
world. How about this? Turn on your camera so we could put you on the screen.
What's up? I got it.
Wow, that's cool. So welcome to the
sparkling
Stephan
water.
Show. Was not expecting that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So cool. Wow. So Tesla has been a wild ride lately. So you're down $1.5 million from the peak as of last week. Any chance of selling any of it and just locking in your profit? Because you've doubled your money, right? You've already doubled your money down from even where it was last week.
Yeah. I was even thinking about it last week. Just like I remember seeing it like, how could it keep going higher? How could it keep going higher? And I just kept going and going. And I'm like, I should sell. But dude, California sucks, man. They're going to take like 55% of my money away in taxes. And I'm like, I'd rather see it drop half. Well, then it started dropping like half and I start panicking.
Jeez. Yeah. Yikes. I guess there's really no way to offset that at all. I mean, for stock market profits like that, yeah, in the highest tax bracket, California would be 13.3%, in addition to the federal income tax of, 37%, plus a few little odds and ends there. So yeah, you would be looking at just over 50% in tax.
Yeah. It makes it very tempting to leave and move to like Puerto Rico, like Peter Schiff said. He said you move there, you pay like 4% in taxes.
Yeah. So
That would be the place to trade.
So how much have you invested so far this year? Because I think to bring everyone up to speed, you did some of this on margin. You took out some loans to invest in the stock market. So tell us about this. That was a risky decision.
Yeah, I went a little overboard. On March 6th, it was the day after the Federal Reserve, whatever the Monday was, the day after the Federal Reserve on a Sunday cut the interest rates to zero. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's going to be a frenzy for people to refinance and something's about to hit the fan. Like the market's going to get ugly. So I called up my lender and I'm like, refinance as many properties as we can. And so we started like 4 or 5 refinances and then a couple months later did a few more. I took all of that money and just bought stocks. As soon as the refinances closed, it was just like buy. And they started closing around the beginning of April. But yeah, I mean, before the pandemic, I had like $400K in stocks and I never liked refinancing my properties. And right when the pandemic hit, I said refinance everything and just throw it all in.
So you went from $400,000 worth of stocks to now how much is that?
It's like 9.2 and about 3 of that is margin. It's like 3.3.
5.5. So you invested $5 million into the stock market since net. Well, more than that because some of it's on margin, but 5 million after margin since April.
Yeah, even like the mid-March, yeah.
Were you worried? Yep. Because I remember in April that everyone was calling this the bull trap, that the market was it was about to go down. It went up too much. There's no way it's sustainable. It was about to go down. How worried were you in doing this?
Yeah, something crazy that happened is right around like March 15th. Maybe it was somewhere between March 15th and like March 19th. I was standing at a property on closing day, and I had to send an email to the escrow company saying I authorized the closing. I was doing my final walkthrough. And it was a rainy, gloomy day, and I'm standing there freaking out about this pandemic coming. And here I am thinking, I can't believe I'm buying a house right now, like a rental right now. Property values could drop 50%. I had no idea what was going to happen. I had so much fear that day. And one of the reasons I initially refinanced was just to have that cash because I thought property values were going to tank. So I'm like, let me get value out of the properties and then have cash as just like a safety net. That fear I felt was so high. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like this is going to be really bad. And that fear level went like straight down over the next 2 weeks. So come like the end of March, the beginning of April, I'm like, this isn't as bad as I felt 2 weeks ago. And that's when I thought, when I went from that crazy, like, oh my gosh, like this is the end of the world, to no, this is an overreaction, this isn't that bad. That's when I decided to go, just trickle in, a portion every day. There were some days where I was just like, okay, 50 today, 50 today, 50 today. And every single day, people are leaving me comments on YouTube going, dude, you're an idiot. You're catching a falling knife. It's stupid. There's going to be a double dip. And I've even mentioned in some videos, it felt like I was standing in front of my fireplace and just taking bags of 50 grand and throwing them onto the fire. But for some reason, that like difference in my personal fear from standing at that house on closing day to 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later when my money started coming in, I felt a lot more confident. And that's what I just hung my hat on.
Why tech stocks, though? I almost felt like some of this hard hit, like airlines, restaurants, anything travel related, like those would be the stocks to buy. But oddly enough, those have been some of the worst performing stocks that I have held on to. So everything tech related has just doubled. Everything else is, I'm sitting on gains of 15 to 30%, but still, it's nowhere close to what tech stocks have done.
Yeah. My biggest buys were Amazon, Tesla, Apple, Etsy, Redfin, Peloton, and mostly one of the reasons I went so heavy on those was because I did still have fear that bankruptcy was a real risk, but I did put at one point up to around maybe, I'd say I had about $700,000 between Delta and Carnival, which I then switched over to Simon Property Group and Dave & Buster's. And I don't know. The recovery stocks were a little tough. They were really tempting at first, but I ended up almost completely getting out of them around May because I started saying, I noticed that real estate prices weren't going down. Like in April, I'm like, why are real estate prices not going down? So I thought, well, I'm just going to sell off the recovery stocks and start buying real estate. So I started buying real estate again.
Wow. Okay. So what are you buying now? What are you investing in?
In terms of stocks or real estate or both? Both. Yeah. So the first thing that I'm doing is all of my extra income right now, I'm paying down my margin. I've been doing that for about the last 3 weeks because I hate it. It makes me nervous. I never like going above 35%, and I'm a little above that right now. I think it's like 36, 37%, but I want to get that down to like 20%. The 2% at M1 Finance is so tempting, but it's scary because, if you get a flash crash or something, they just call you up and go, dude, we're liquidating your account to cover your margin. I'm like, I don't want to go back to zero. You know what I mean?
Right. But then not only that, but if they liquidate that position to pay off the margin, then you have a giant tax bill on top of having to pay this back, right?
I hadn't even thought about that. I guess it depends how low it falls. So that's definitely the current strategy. However, at the same time, I'm also buying real estate. It's either fixer-upper real estate or a couple multifamily buildings that I got, which are pretty nice. One's a triplex. I'm going to turn it into a sixplex, and one's a fourplex. I'm going to turn into a sixplex.
Where do you find the time for all of that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Usually it's bad, but I tell Lauren, I go, hey, now's the time to make hay, and so I'll work during the day. I'll wake up at 5 or 6, do YouTube until like 3 or 4, and then I go check on the properties or do like 3D scans. I'm gonna go meet an architect at 5 o'clock today, so I don't want to keep doing this. Like coming next year, 2021, I tell myself maybe we could be at a normal year and I can actually like take a vacation.
Yeah, what does your wife think about all of this? I mean, certainly she must feel just as uneasy too about you being like, let's refinance all of the properties and throw the money into the stock market, which is hitting these breaker points every single day. How does she feel about that?
Yeah, I make her nervous a lot. Her parents are always very, very conservative. They'd rather have a ton of cash, and I don't know. In some way I admire it because it's nice to not have to worry. One of the downsides of if you have any margin is when the market does start going red, you have, like, in my opinion, when the market's falling, you should be buying more. But if you have margin outstanding when the market's falling, you're not buying more. You're freaking out that, oh crap, what if I get close to a margin call? Now, fortunately, with 35%, it's not as bad as like Webull or Robinhood, 100% margin, or like TD Ameritrade lets you do 4x margin, which, that's very bad. But yeah, it's still something that's in the back of your mind. It's like, I got to pay this off.
So is she supportive of you doing this? Because if I were your wife, I would say, let's not do 65% Tesla. I would have told you not to do most of the stuff that you've done, but it's worked out. It's worked out, but I wouldn't have done it. I would have taken a much safer approach.
Yeah.
So does she just let you do what you want as long as you don't bankrupt the family, as long as you don't lose the house? Anything over $3 million, you could just do what you want with. How does that work?
Yeah, pretty much. Lauren just she's awesome. She says, "Hey Kevin, you know what the criteria is for whether we're buying stocks or houses. Like high quality is the number one, mostly for real estate. She doesn't care so much about the stocks. She probably should care more about the stocks, but yeah.
So she'll just let you do what you want then.
Mostly.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll show her, and she's like, "Wait, what? You lost $800,000 in a day?"
You know what? Yeah. You should film her reaction. I think everyone would love to see how a wife would react to you losing $800,000 in a day.
It's pretty bad. I've got a screenshot of it somewhere. I'll have to send it to you, but I would have to show that to Lauren and see what her reaction is.
So, are you ever planning on selling this, or what do you do with the stocks?
Mostly, I just let them sit there. I just can't stand the idea of paying taxes, and I think the only way to not pay taxes is to like get hit by a bus at some point in the future. But not that that's a tax strategy. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I mean, maybe at some point, if I just retire in the future, then just start selling off, $50K at a time, and there's my annual salary.
Absolutely incredible.
But
yeah.
I will tell you,
it's something where, I look at myself like a week ago where I'm like, I don't want to sell anything. And I still feel that way. Like, I hate selling stuff. But I will tell you, like, the roller coaster, just emotion-wise, that I felt over the last week, part of me is like, dude, like, at some point, just pay off, like, all the margin, like, half my properties, and just put a ton of money into like AT&T stock and give me a 7% dividend. And I mean, if I put half of my stocks into AT&T after paying off margin, so let's say you pay off my margin and what's left, 6.2 or something like that. Let's just call it 6. If I put $3 million into AT&T at 7%, that would pay me $210,000 a year doing nothing. crazy.
Gosh. But then AT&T might go down in value 10%.
Then they could go bankrupt.
And then they go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the risk. But even
The
something,
nature of stocks.
you could find some good dividend stocks, honestly, at 3.5%, that would be fairly safe. And even then.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, great job, man.
Simple life that way.
Yeah. I can't imagine losing $1.5 million on paper. I had one day in the stock market. This is, I think, back in maybe April, late April, early May. I forget, where I was down 80 grand in a day. That ruined my day. Really, it screwed me up because I'm like, I could have just bought this next day, and I saved 80,000. It's terrible, but oddly enough, then after about a month of doing that, you just stop paying attention after a while, and I don't really care as long as I'm in the green. I don't care.
The woulda, coulda, shoulda, I'll tell you, is probably the most painful and toxic thing about investing, and the only way I've tried to get over that or managed to get over that is just by telling myself consistently, is any of it going to matter in 5 or 10 years? And, I tell myself, like, hey, I'm 28 now. When I'm 38, am I going to look back to when I was 28 and, I had a paper loss of 1.5? Probably not. Unless I watch this video. That'd be cool.
Maybe. But what happens if Tesla just all of a sudden plummets to 150? It's like a Cisco, where it goes up in the early 2000s and it never fully recovers. I mean, what's it? Do you have a
mistake?
So you just chalk it up to a loss, and it is what it is.
Yeah. I think I was having bought a Tesla in 2017, like December, and seeing how crappy the car was then, and seeing how it's evolved without me having to take it in for service, and seeing how the self-driving's evolved, seeing how it's learned different turns and it can do things that it couldn't do in the past. I don't see any other manufacturer even holding a candle to Tesla, and I think that's the big thing that a lot of analysts forget is that Tesla isn't really, it's not about the cars. It's, it's like some of the quality things aren't the best on the Tesla vehicle. In my opinion, it's about what it represents in part, but more it's the full self-driving. I mean, anybody can make an EV, but the full self-driving, nobody can hold a candle to that with Tesla. It's amazing.
I agree. I think that's a good ending right there. Nobody can hold a candle to Tesla. Well, Jack, we'll end it right there.
Hey, Graham. Well, thank you so much for having me on. Feel free, if you're watching this, check out my channel. Make sure to subscribe to the Graham Stephan Show. Subscribe to Graham Stephan's channel, and come check out mine over at Meet Kevin.
Exactly. I need to know where my stimulus check is. It's not here yet. Well, it's a good thing.
Here it's growing long.
Yeah, you post twice a day, so I will figure out twice a day where my stimulus check is.
Thank you.
All right, you got it. Good luck. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to destroy the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. Post here pretty much daily. So if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there, as in the podcast, The Iced Coffee Hour. New episodes being posted every single Sunday. And lastly, if you want a free stock worth at minimum $8 and all the way up to $1,600, use the link down below in the description, and Webull is going to be giving you that free stock worth, like I said, minimum $8. So it's at minimum an 8% return on your money, just for signing up, just for depositing $100. Let me know which stock you get. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.
I'll give my clapper too.